So recently, IGN dropped 9 minutes of Jedi Survivor gameplay. Now, I didn't want to do what I normally do and rush a video out the second I see something on this game and miss any details that tend to follow shortly after. But regardless, I of course wanted to cover this as this is our first non-trailer look at the gameplay. Now, there are pros and cons to the gameplay, all of which we will get to in this video. So the gameplay takes place on a planet called Koboh, which is a new planet seemingly made for the game, similar to Bogano and Zeffo from the first Fallen Order. Now, first impressions, I think it looks great. The planet specifically, I think it looks pretty cool. It doesn't seem to be a major change from maps in the first game. It's different of course, but nothing outlandishly new, and I think that's one of the major key takeaways from this first gameplay look. A lot of what we see here is more of the same, but with some tweaks and refinements. I think the old saying of if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of applies to this sequel. The first Fallen Order done a lot right, so all this game really had to do was build on what worked or leave it as it is and make changes where the first game went wrong or fell short. And judging off this gameplay, that seems to be what's happened. The planet and location we see here specifically, like I said, it's new but doesn't feel like anything mind-blowingly different from the first game. The environments definitely look much better, the world feels a little more vibrant, a little bit more interesting, and to be honest, I can't wait to see what other planets they're going to be letting us explore. Let's talk about the gameplay because that's probably the most important thing. The first thing I noticed in general was Cal's movement and some of the lightsaber combat. I think it all looks really good. Some elements I wish they would have changed maybe a little bit more. For example, like I said, Cal's movement. He still runs around like he's just got off a horse or something. He's always run a little bit goofy, but I mean, that's a nitpick. It doesn't have any bearing on the game itself. But when he is dual wielding specifically, the animation that he has for his running just looks like he's shat his pants or something. I don't know, it's just something I've noticed. Now, the gameplay in the first game, it was pretty good. It could be really fun, really satisfying, but at times could feel very janky, very clunky, and sometimes a little bit slow. The gameplay in Survivor, judging off this 9 minutes, seems to be a little more snappier, much faster, and a little bit smoother, which to be honest was all I wanted out of this game. I didn't expect them to completely revamp all gameplay elements and create something entirely new to the point where it feels like nothing like the first game. Now, the lightsaber gameplay specifically, this is the reason a lot of people are going to buy the game. If the lightsaber gameplay sucks, then yeah, that's a problem. However, from what I can gather, the single and double-edged lightsaber gameplay is very similar to the first game, just a little faster with slightly refined animations. But the star of the show is those dual-wielding lightsabers. These animations, specifically when you're actually using them, look great. Cal still runs weird, but everything else looks great. And to be honest, strategy aside, I think I'll be going out of my way to make this the main way that I approach this game, because this is all entirely new. The dual wielding in the first game was more of a single move. This is an entirely new stance, so this looks great. Now, there also seems to be entirely new execution animations, which you'd expect. These look great just like in the first game. These animations were always surprisingly brutal, seeing as Respawn have to live within the constraints of Disney. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what a lightsaber could do to a person, but of course, that can't be shown completely. So Respawn seemingly have made things as brutal as they possibly can, and they've done that with the sound design as well. The sound design of the lightsaber combat has really emphasized that brutality of a lightsaber. Now, it seems we can still slice droids and animals in half, but human characters, it's probably still more of the old baseball bat mechanics because of Disney not allowing dismemberment of human characters. Again, that's not Respawn's fault and not the end of the world anyway. Now, we also have to talk about the map. The map in the first game was bad. Now, you guys know how much I love the first Fallen Order, and I gladly defend a lot of aspects of that game that fell to the wayside. But the map, yeah, I can't defend that. That map was bad. It was so confusing. However, it seems they've changed the map up quite a bit, and I'm glad they stuck with the map itself because it gives BD1 an important in-game mechanic to aid exploration, but it seems a little less complicated now, more streamlined and simple. It's hard to tell whether or not this is a definitive improvement by just looking at gameplay. This is probably more of a hands-on thing where you can really figure out if the map changes have been for the better, but visually speaking, it looks less convoluted, so I'll take that for now. Now, it's also worth noting that grapple looks like it's going to be a very important traversal mechanic in the game, so that's a nice little addition to the mechanics. We also have wall jumps, which was a massive part of Jedi Fallen Order's traversal mechanics, but the ability to slow time I think is one of the coolest additions that this game has. I can see overwhelming fights getting really interesting with this new mechanic. Now, something small but honestly I was actually really happy to see was when you open chests or boxes, whatever you want to call them, the animation is significantly faster than the first game. In the first game, BD would jump in there and rummage around for like 5 seconds and eventually it'd open. I don't even know if this annoyed anyone on this planet but me, but yeah, by the game's end that was kind of doing my head in and I don't even know why, to be honest. But regardless of that, it's gone now, so this will promote slightly quicker exploration, which is nice. Now, we do know that we can mount creatures in the game. We didn't see this in the gameplay, which actually really surprised me. Perhaps this is one of the tweaks they still need to make, hence the 6-week delay the game received. I don't know, but it would have been nice to see more on how the mount system works. But overall, that seems to be pretty much everything. It's not really a detail-heavy 9 minutes, to be honest. It's more of a general thoughts kind of thing, just elaborating on stuff we've already seen in gameplay trailers. Having said that, I am very surprised they even showed raw gameplay given the game was delayed to polish it, so that's probably why a few things were left unshown. I think this was released more so just to get a general vibe of the game, not necessarily to blow your socks off, but to be honest, I'm still really happy with what I saw. It looks like it's more of the same, but with refinement and some new mechanics, and that's all I wanted out of this game in the first place. Fallen Order done so much right that the sequel didn't have to do a whole lot more, but this is all interpretation from someone else's gameplay. I can't wait to get hands on with this game, really test it out and see if it's the worthy sequel that most of us absolutely think that it is. But guys, what did you think of the gameplay? Let me know down in those comments below. Like the video if you're hyped for the game and subscribe to the channel if you're new, as this game is going to be a centerpiece of this channel for the next 3 or 4 months. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching and take care.